Hi everybody, this is Oksana, and this is a pretty fun tutorial. I'm always excited when I come up with something that works for square or rectangle shapes because they're so tricky to work with. I do have quite a few tutorials on squares and rectangles on my channel, and here is the one that we're going to do today. So this is the one that I did when I had the idea, so I did this one just by myself when I was experimenting to see if it would work. And then this is the one that I did on camera. So this is the one that you're going to see me making. And the biggest difference is just the direction that the swirl is facing. So that's why I wanted to show you both pieces so you can decide for yourself the direction you wanted your swirl to go. And it works for both rectangles with sharp corners like this one here, or ones with rounded corners, but it does have to be somewhat of a large rectangle, and it can't be one of those like really skinny narrow long ones. It needs to be kind of a, I don't know, more squarish one like these. And I think it looks like a picture or a painting, since a lot of times a painting will be hanging on a wall and it'll be just like this kind of rectangle shape. So I tried to go with that look, and like this was like a light bluish purpley color, so I tried to put like little waves on it, and that's how I came up with the idea. So it's like the ocean and it's got waves, and trying to be like a painting hanging on the wall, except hanging around your neck. So anyways, if you want to see how I made this pendant, just keep watching. We're going to be using one piece of 18 gauge round dead soft copper wire. Here's what my spool of it looks like. I purchased it from riogrande.com. This is solid copper, and it measures about 11 inches. And my stone, it is a Chrysocolla with malachite, I believe, and it measures, it's a rectangular shape, and it measures exactly 1.5 inches. If I measure it this way and then this way, it's 1 inch. So it's a pretty big stone, which I think is definitely key for this design. So I'm going to find the middle portion of my wire and then just kind of hold it in the middle like this. And then with your stone, what you want to do is you want to go to the bottom left corner here. So you're going to be looking at the stone like this. So decide if you want it to be like this or like this. It's up to you. But it's going to be lengthwise. And you're going to put the bottom left corner of it like this over the wire. Just kind of so the wire's coming out in the middle. See, like this little section of the stone here, the wire is kind of roughly in the middle of it. And we're going to bend it. This wire and then this wire as well. This wire like roughly the same distance from the corner of the stone as the other wire. So we're just bending it, and you want this wire to be, if we're holding the stone like this, we want it to be kind of on top, and then this other wire to be underneath. Once the bending has happened, I'll show it to you. So I've bent them and I've pushed them up against the stone, and you can see this wire is on top and this wire is underneath. And then on the back, here's what it looks like. It just looks like this. Obviously the stone just pops right out and it moves in there as well. Nothing is secure yet. So we're just gonna push the corner of the stone in here. This next part is kind of hard because you're trying to hold like everything. So I like to just kind of rest my stone here against my fingers, use my index finger and thumb to hold this little thing in place and kind of be pushing it so it doesn't pop off of the stone, and that leaves my other hand free. And what I'm going to do is this wire here that's kind of on the bottom, well, like right now it's on top because I curved it to go on top of this wire, but before that it was, this is top, this is bottom. So we're taking it and we're giving it a curve like this. And then this wire, which is now trapped underneath it because we pushed it over, we're gonna also curve it. So we're gonna put it on top now, kind of crisscrossing each other there. And we're gonna curve it, following this wire along. All right, so like this. You can just hold them together now. And here's what that looks like. And now, hold the stone in because it's gonna pop out of that corner. But now, we're gonna kind of curve it upwards, because if we just follow it along, it will be coming out here, but we want it to be on this side of the stone. So we're just gonna curve it a little bit so it goes on the side of the stone. And then we're gonna bend it from front to back. Again, very important that your corner is pushed in all the way and it's not loose in there. Because if it's loose, when you bend these wires, it's gonna not lock the stone in place. So once you bend them to the back, this portion of the stone is trapped and it's kind of tight. The wire's tight around the stone sides, but of course we could still push it and pull it out the top here if we tried hard enough. So now here on the back, we have this little corner here trapped, and then we have these two wires coming this way, and we're gonna bend them up. So I'm just realizing now that my wire, this will still be long enough, but it's gonna be like just long enough. So if your stone is bigger than mine, then I suggest cutting your wires a little bit longer. So what we're gonna do now, after we've curved this up in the middle, want it to be in the middle because it's gonna be the bail, we're gonna grab some half round wire, and I'm just gonna keep it on the spool as I wrap it around. You can use round wire. If you use round wire, I think it works better if you weave a little pattern. Otherwise, it tends to kind of slide around and unravel if you just wrap it around and around. But you can. I've successfully used it in the same way as half round wire before, so you can wrap it around and around technically. So this is 24 gauge half round wire. And if you're using round wire instead, because you don't have half round, I would recommend either 26 or 28 gauge round wire. So all we want to do is just wrap it around this area, and I'm going to leave myself a little tail end here, just of a few inches. And I'm going to wrap my half round wire just around these two wires like this, and I'm turning the piece. With half round wire, you have to turn the piece and guide the wire, because it goes the half rounded side up and the flat side down, and if you don't turn the piece and you just wrap it around, it'll get twisted. So this is a bit of a slow process because you don't want your stone to pop out, so you're just holding everything carefully and just going around and around. So I'm going to do this off camera for just a minute, and then I'll pop back in. One thing I'll say though is you want this wrap to be, push it down a little bit, to start here so it's covered up by the stone. You don't want it to start up there. You want this little part to be just like this. All right, so after you've done it for a little bit and it's just sticking up a little bit here, this is probably about 1 centimeter in size. It doesn't need to be very tall because it's not going to be our whole bale. It's like half a bale size. And you just want to press down on it with your pliers, and then we're going to separate these wires just a little bit like this, so that we can get in here and start wrapping it around only, so if you're looking for from the front, only this leftmost wire, and if you're looking from the back, it's this wire on the right side of the back, closer to this little corner here. So I'm just gonna get in here and wrap around only that one wire there. All right, so this should be adequate. So we're just gonna trim it. So if this is the back and you're looking at it from the back, then you want to trim it, you want to flip it over to the front and trim it here on the front. That's where you want the wire end to go. And we're just gonna press down that little wire end so that it's covered up and not visible, because the way we're gonna bend it, we need the wire end up here. Okay, so let's just make sure it's in the middle again for our bail. And I'm going to grab my round nose pliers here, anything round, some bail making pliers, round nose pliers should all work. And we're gonna bend it so it curves into a bail shape, but this wire here, so this one's just gonna go straight down, it's easy, but this one, we want it to curve and make like a full circle. So the easiest thing for me to do is to stick my pliers there, my round nose pliers, and then just kind of press it around them so it makes that little round shape like this. And then we're just gonna fix it up so it looks good from the front. And then what we want to do, and it's going to help to put the pliers back in to hold this shape, is to push this wire down onto the stone, and it is going to go this way towards the corner, which we'll do in a second. So my wire is actually just a smidge too short, but I think I know how to fix that, so we'll fix it. But here is what it looks like from the front. So I'm just going to bend this wire so it looks symmetrical. This one kind of is going to the side and this one's going to the side, just like that. So here, what we're going to do to make this work, let's move this little wire end out of the way first of all. We want to connect this wire to here. So mine is just a smidge too short. So I'm going to bend this wire, this corner wire, put a little bend in it, so now my wire is long enough. What I'm going to do is just raise it up a little bit so I can take my wire and tuck it under there, just like this. And then you just want to take your wire end there. It's kind of hard to grab mine. There we go. Just want to take it and turn it this way, because ultimately you want to connect it and then you just want to hide away that wire end. So see, it makes like a little loop, and then you just push it down so the end of the wire is facing the stone and it's not sharp or pokey at this end. So that kind of pulled my bail a little bit. So let's try to adjust it back. Into the middle. So what we're going to do with this wire is we're going to make a big swirl with it. So I'm starting the swirl process just with my finger, but I'm going to continue it with my round nose pliers. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to grab the end of my swirl, or what's going to be my swirl. I like to kind of squish that wire end with my pliers. That's up to you, however you make your swirls. And then I grab it and I start kind of curving it. All right, that looks good to me. So now you have the option whether you would like to hammer it or not. So if you're gonna hammer it, I'll do it. You wanna raise it up like this, away from your stone, and then you just wanna grab your iron block. Of course, you're not gonna hold this all in the air like I am. I'm just trying to hold it in front of my camera, but you just put this all down on the ground, and then you would hammer first with the flat side of your chasing hammer just to flatten it down, and then with the rounded side to give it a little texture. So the end result, let me just pop it back down here, is this hammered wave. And again, you didn't have to hammer it if you didn't want to, but now we just have to attach it to these waves here. So to attach, I'm just gonna grab a little piece here of the 24 gauge half round wire, or if you're using round wire, grab your round wire. This is just a few inches long, maybe like 3 inches long. And I'm going to tuck it through underneath this wave. If you can't push it through here because it's like too tightly up against the stone, try going here. There's usually kind of a gap in this area, so try starting here and then just kind of pulling it down. And then you just kind of want to center it so you have an equal amount of wire here and here. And then we're going to start the attaching. So I'm going to go ahead and see how it's going above this little curl. So I'm putting it underneath this top wire here. And you just have to find a good spot where you can tuck it. Sometimes the wire is just so tight against the stone. So there we go. And just pulling on it, and it's made a little loop. And you just want to do that a few times, and that's gonna attach your little swirl. So for me, I have to tuck it through here. That's where there's like a little bit of space for me to get in there. And then once I do that, I just grab my wire end with my pliers and I just pull on it. Probably want to do that at least 4 times, or at least have 4 little loops, maybe 4 or 5 even. Just want a good attachment that's not gonna unravel on you. All right, so this will be the last time. So once you have that, I'm just gonna tighten it up. You can see there's some spaces here between my wrap. So I'm just gonna tighten it up, and then I'm gonna push this down, come in here with my pliers and cut it. And now, I mean with my wire cutters, not with my pliers. And now with my pliers, I'm gonna grab that wire end, I'm gonna curve it downwards, so it's kind of going in the same direction as the rest of the wire, and then just kind of push it in there. And we finished it off that way. And now with this wire, we just have to finish this wire off. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna bring it up and put it through the loop, or try to get it underneath the loop here so that it's going all the way down, and we make like this big attachment. There we go, I can see it. starting to come out this side. Let's see if I can grab it. Oh, I got it. So it's made a little loop here, further attaching our swirl. I'm just going to press down on that a little bit with my pliers. It kind of got rid of this gap, so I'm like remaking the gap here so that I can get in here and wrap this around. Now if this is too hard, you can just wrap it around both of the wires, but I kind of like the way it looks for some reason when it's wrapped around just the one wire. So I kind of remade that little gap so that I can get in here and wrap around just this one wire here. But honestly, whatever you can manage, like if you're having a hard time with this, whatever you can wrap around, it's just about wrapping around something before you trim off your wire so everything is connected and doesn't unravel. So I need to do this a few more times. There we go. I'm just kind of doing this in real time so you can see the struggle. You can see that it takes a little bit of work to get that wire under there. There we go. I think that's probably adequate, so I can just trim it now, just like we did on the other side. Trim it, and then that little end, little wire end, we're just gonna take it, kind of curve it in this direction so it's going the right way here, and then just push down on that wire end, and that way it's just gonna get in there and not be sticking out. You won't be seeing the wire end. All right, so here's what that looks like. We've attached our big swirl here. So here on the back, so normally if this wire wasn't so short and I didn't have to pull it so tight here, it'd be pretty close to here, and I would use this to kind of attach it. We can still do that even though there's a gap. So we're just going to work this little wire end under here and then just wrap it around this wire. Just maybe 5 times, and then we're going to trim it off just to make this nice little connection and just further stabilize our little bail there. All right, and now we're just gonna trim and tuck away that little wire end, and we're gonna be done. But I just wanna show you real quick on my other pendant here how things went slightly differently. So on this pendant, the wires were plenty long, so I made this little loop, brought it down. Here it is going straight down. It didn't end up getting pulled. Like this one got pulled this way, forming a gap. This one didn't, but you can see I still attached it right there with the wire. And so I had to put a little bend in here. I didn't have to do that here. I could just attach it. And because when you look at it from the front, this wire kind of had to swoop to the side there because it wasn't long enough. This one is fine, just going straight down. And so I was able to bring this wire straight down. But because I'm trying to make my bail look symmetrical, I had to bring this wire to the side. I felt like this curve needed to curve this way, but here it went straight down and I curved it the other way. And just so you can see the difference in the look, I think both ways it looks cool. So it's totally up to you what you do. If you have the same exact stone size as me, I would maybe cut your wire a little longer. I'm actually going to put in the description and in all the information 12 inches, even though when I was measuring it with you it was 11 inches. I'm going to put 12 inches just because 11 ended up being a bit short. And it's just up to you which way you want to swirl your swirl, which look you like better. This is obviously has more rounded corners, whereas this has more sharp corners, but I think both of them look really cool. This one I've oxidized the copper, and you can see when the copper is oxidized, you can really see the texture in that swirl. So I think that looks really cool. And that's it. And here's what they look like hanging on a cord necklace. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.